Hey there! Have you ever seen food advertisements that look nothing like the real thing? Well, Harmony characters in Honkai Star Rail are the exact opposite. Each one has a specific niche as their selling point, while also being universally strong outside of the specialized roles. For those still undecided about their plans for 3.1, let's dive into our latest Harmony character, Tribbie. Her overall skills, playstyle, potential issues, and compatibility with certain characters/team comps. Overall, is she worth pulling? Tribbie is a universal damage enhancing support who can also dish out some damage of her own, just like the independent woman that she is. Starting with her basic attack, damage to a single target while also inflicting a little bit of damage to adjacent enemies. Next is her skill. Tribbie's skill is a team-wide buff that increases all allies all-type resist pen for 3 of her own turns. It functions very similar to Ron May's skill. Next is her ult. This is where things get a little bit interesting. Her ult deals AoE damage to all enemies, scaling off of her own HP. It then creates this zone/field that lasts for 2 turns. And while it's active, it applies 2 effects. 1. Increases enemies' damage taken by 30%. And 2. Deals additional quantum damage to enemies based on the number of enemies hit. Do take note that Tribbie's own attacks can also trigger the additional quantum damage effects. Next up is her talent. Whenever any teammates other than Tribbie uses their ultimate, Tribbie launches a follow-up attack that also scales off of her own HP. And finally, let's move on to her main traces. Her trace number 1 is a follow-up attack boost. Every time she uses the follow-up attack, its damage increases, stacking up to 3 times. Her trace number 2, max HP boost. While her zone/fields from her ult is still active, her max HP increases by 9% of the sum of all allies' max HP. And for her third trace, it's an energy regeneration. At the start of the battle, she regenerates 30 energy. Moving on, are there any major issues and red flags? Short answer, no. Long answer, no. Honestly, I don't know what else to say here. She's just an all-around great unit. I promise you, I'm not trying to be a snake oil salesman here. Tribbie has no major flaws. Here are the stat categories that she buffs. 1. All-type resist pen. And 2. Damage taken by enemies increase. These buffs are universally beneficial to all damage dealers in the game. Some may be more than others, but that's besides the point. Most importantly, she contributes her own damage without requiring any additional resources. That's no additional resources required is a point I need to highlight. Whenever your ally attacks or uses their ult, Tribbie will provide extra damage. It's free damage that will occur naturally throughout the course of the battle. Just count the number of times your damage dealers attack and use their ults throughout the course of a fight. Now, imagine that every one of those actions taken by your main damage dealer is going to have Tribbie adding additional damage plus follow-up attacks. But wait, there's more. Repeat that same process for the other 2 characters on your team. What I'm getting at is that Tribbie's personal damage can really add up over the course of the fights. And as the cherry on top, she's an HP scaling support. Unlike other frail Harmony characters who can't survive a strong breeze, Tribbie can actually take a few hits. Her durability becomes even more noticeable after using her ult, which makes her even tankier. Moving on, so what does all of this really mean for her playstyle? Tribbie is like Ron May with extra steps. Just like Ron May, Tribbie only needs to use her skill and ult to keep her buffs active. It's the textbook definition of use it and forget it. But here is where Tribbie has a bit more interaction. Most of her actions, such as the talent and her ult, are only activated through the actions of her own teammates. So to get the most out of her, she needs her teammates to enable her, to maximize her. So to fully utilize her talents, she needs teammates who can spam their ults. More ults equal more follow-up attacks, equal more energy, equal more of Tribbie's. To fully take advantage of her ult, she needs teammates who can attack frequently and target multiple enemies. More enemies hit equal more additional damage procs from Tribbie. Her follow-up attack from a talent won't make you say, wow, that's a lot of damage. But hear me out, it's about the quantity, not the quality. Also keep in mind, even though it only does a decent amount of damage, remember it also regenerates energy with each hit. So the long story short is that just surround her with teammates who can attack frequently, hit multiple enemies, and can spam their ults to maximize Tribbie's impact. Moving on, let's talk about who Tribbie pairs well with. Look, I know some of you are patiently waiting for a dot support specialist. There are even some truly dedicated individuals out there still holding out for Skrillum. Let me be the first to tell you, Tribbie is not your lord and savior for your dot teams. I will save you the yapping. If you already have Ron May or Robin on your dot team, then Tribbie isn't going to change the way your dot team is performing. She might be a slight upgrade, she might be a side grade, she might even be a downgrade, but the point is, if you have a TV in your room, you don't need another TV. However, if you don't have Robin or Ron May and desperately need a support for your dot team, Tribbie can fill that role. So what is her specialty? Well, Herta teams, Erudition teams, follow-up attack teams are her best fits. Tribbie is to Herta what Jiao Chill is to Acheron. Practically made to be 100% compatible. Herta meets all the conditions to fully maximize Tribbie's kit. Attacks frequently, hits multiple enemies, uses ult frequently. Herta teams usually include another Erudition characters who will likely also meet these three criteria as well. Not to mention, some team variants use Lingsha or Aventurine as sustain, further enhancing Tribbie's synergy. Tribbie is an excellent pick for Herta teams. But do you know who else performs well on Herta teams? Remembrance Trailblazer. I won't go into Remembrance Trailblazer versus Tribbie debates. Instead, let's look at it from a different perspective. From Harmony to Remembrance, the Trailblazer has been an incredible free-to-play unit. So if you need the Trailblazer in another team, Tribbie makes for a solid replacement and vice versa. This same logic applies to other in-demand support units like Robin. Anyways, special shout out to HP scouting teams of Blade and Blade Pro Max who will be coming out in part 2 of 3.1. I know I haven't listed exact team comps because, frankly, Tribbie is good on all teams and fantastic on her specialties. So the short answer is this. Any team that you can use Robin on, Tribbie can probably also be on that team. And we can pretty much use Robin on every single team, so that's your answer right there. Moving on. The question of the day, is Tribbie worth pulling? Harmony characters in this game have a strong track record of being worth it for most, if not all players. If you have a lot of ult spamming and AoE focused characters, that's where Tribbie shines the most. She's gonna give you the most bang for your buck. She is a decent specialist in other team comps, but don't expect her to outperform specialists in their own niche roles. I'm not a fortune teller, so I can't tell you how well she will synergize with future characters. However, what I do know is that Tribbie is a self-sufficient support with minimum constraints. She practically plays herself. Your only real concern is probably trying to maximize her usage. As for myself, I'm going to try for her, but my true desire has always been for the collab characters. I'll offer a few tickets to the Gacha Gods as an offering, but to me, she's not credit card worthy. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Okay, bye.